Right guys, welcome back to another video. Bit of a different one today, no riding today. We are looking at the bike. We've got a problem. We've got an oil seal leak on the front fork. Bring it down, you can see everything's pretty much discs, discs, calipers, everything's pretty much soaked in oil. So we're going to take that off today. We're going to get that cleaned up and try and get the new seals in. When it comes to tools, I've had to buy a couple of tools because there's things that I didn't have. So normal tools wise, I've got like everybody else would have in their garage. Apart from I bought, let me just turn that around. A spring compressor, which I needed, which obviously you're gonna have to have, and a seal seating slide hammer. So they're the only tools that are specialist that I bought. Other than that, it's normal Allen keys, normal socket set. So hopefully this will go well. One point of note, I haven't changed fork seals for probably about 30 years. And the last time I did it, it was what I would call the traditional forks, where the stanchion is at the bottom and the fork tube is at the top. These are upside down forks as far as I'm concerned. So the stanchion is at the bottom, and the stanchion is at the top and the tube is at the bottom. So I've never dealt with these sort of forks before, but hey, it's got to be the same as the other ones, just in reverse. Other problem with this, there is a pinch bolt, let me see, to the top yoke, and that is behind this cowling, which means I'm basically going to probably have to take off the entire headlight and cowl to undo one bolt. So that's a bit of a bind. The other issue I had was this nut, this bolt at the top of the fork. I need to undo. This is a 22mm. I didn't have that, so I bought a socket for it. That turned up. It's the wrong drive side for my socket set, so I had to go and buy. I tried to go and buy another ratchet, but I couldn't get one. I managed to get a tyre lever with the same drive size. So the bolt and the lever to undo this, it's cost me 40 euros and I haven't even got started yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to get some, I've got some old clover on, going to get some gloves, get the bike jacked up, and we're going to start on it. So let's crack on. All right, so I've got the trolley lift under the bike. I'm going to put a couple of bricks under the back wheel because obviously when you take the front wheel off, the whole thing's going to want to tilt, so I'm going to stop that. I'm going to slacken off. There's two pinch bolts here and the main axle bolt. I'm going to slacken these off before I put the bike up in the air, just for a bit more stability. Then we'll get the rest of it off. So let's crack on with that. So these pinch bolts, they don't have to be all the way undone. They don't have to come out, they just have to be loose. So we're just slacking them off a touch. And then for the main axle bolt, we need a bit of a different tool for that. So we grab that. So I don't actually know what this thing is called, but it's like an internal socket. So we need a 24mm part of it. So we use that. And that's just slackened off a touch. So we're cool, that's good. They're slackened off, so the main force work is done. What I might actually do is just take off the brake caliper on the other side as well. Just slacken that off a touch, give me a bit more play. All right, so we're slackened off. Calipers are nice and slack. The wheel axles, the wheel axle is slacked off. So now we can go ahead, pump the thing up, get it secure. We can start working on getting the wheel off. All right, so I've got the bike jacked off the floor. Nice bit of clearance under the wheel. I've got some bricks chocking up under the back wheel, so if it does tilt, it's only going to go about 2 millimeters. So we can now go and get the front wheel off. So what we do, we'll start removing this side brake caliper. These are just some nice long bolts. As you can see, I'm already getting covered in oil. So this seal is definitely gone. And we'll just gently persuade the caliper off the rim. With a rubber mallet. There we go. Yeah, the whole thing is caked in oil. In fact, even the rim is covered in oil. So, yeah, it's in a bad way. Okay, next job, let's get the wheel off. So we've already slackened the pinch bolts off, so that's good. So what we need to do now is just remove the main axle. There is spaces on either side, so we just need to remember which ones go where. All right. There we go. Actually, there's only space on one side on this, so that's fine. We'll take that away. That will be soaked in degreaser. We'll get that cleaned up. And that's the main axle. So again, if I bring this camera in, you can see the state of here compared to this side. I mean, they're both dirty, but not as bad as each other. So, yeah. If anyone knows what this tool is called, let me know. I just call it like a reverse socket or an internal socket. But nice. Okay, so the next job is the mudguard needs to come off. That's just a few Allen bolts and a couple of brackets. So we'll start on that straight away. Now I've never had this apart before, so I don't know if this is going to be awkward or not. But I guess we'll find out. I'm sure there's always one awkward bolt. Alright, and then we'll come around with the other side. Once we've got all this disassembled, I'll move all the bolts and the nuts away. So, oh, look at the oil on the back of that. Man, that's bad. Now, one thing to note with this is I do not own a torque wrench. And I know that everyone's going to say, you're a fool, you need special torque settings for some of these things, but I don't have it. So I'll have to make do without it, I'm afraid. It is what it is, unfortunately. Can I judge what 11 Newton pounds of pressure is? Probably not. Or meters, whatever you want to call it. Probably not, but hey, we'll have a go. There we go. Mudguard out as well. All right, now you can see from this fork leg, if I turn that, the extent of the oil leak. I mean, look, let me get a tissue. I mean, the oil there is, yeah, pretty bad, pretty bad. It's weird because this one's perfectly fine, bone dry. This one, yeah, completely gone. All right, let's crack on. So next thing we're going to do is remove the headlight cowl and the headlight. I'm hoping it's only 2 bolts, but I have heard it could be 4. So let's see where that goes. All right, so while we take this off, just off camera, I've just soaked the front wheel and the disc in a very good strong degreaser. So we'll get all that oil off of there while we take this thing down. Like I say, I don't know, this might be 2 bolts, it might be 6. I don't know. I've heard there can be many bolts in here holding this on, which might be a problem. It seems looser. I'm just wondering if I can get an Allen key into that. I think I can. I think I can. Let's try it before we fully remove the cowling. Let's see if I can undo the pinch bolt without taking it off. Right. Can I get an Allen key in? Yes. Yep, that's just give me enough play to get in there. All right, that's cool. Let's just undo it just a touch more. All right, so they're just, as I say, they're just pinch bolts holding this in. What I want to do now is try and get this undone, because I think it's going to be better. I'm trying to undo it while it's still attached to the bike. The other thing I'm going to do is mark how high this fork leg needs to go back up. So I'm going to get a Sharpie. I'm just going to quickly mark that. So we're just going to put a dot there. So that's on the fork leg and on the top of the top riser, top yoke. So that gives us our height. Now let's see if I can get this undone, or at least slackened off. This is where we come in with the €40 tool to see if it will do it. Let's have a look. Like I say, I've never done this before, so I think it might be a bit tricky to do. No, that's done. Either it's turning the entire fork leg. Yeah, it's turning the leg, I think. I think it's turning the entire leg. Maybe we drop it out and we go from there. Let's undo the rest of it, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so these pinch bolts, really just simple to break again, and then we're going to just make sure we don't drop it on the floor. Let me stick a bit of cardboard sponge underneath it. Just to protect it, so if it does fall, it's not going to get badly damaged. All right, let's do this. That's a tough one. There's always one. There we go. There we go. All right, we just take down these, undo these pinch bolts. I'm going to say, are we sliding? Not yet. I think this one probably needs to come a touch more. There we go. And we're out. Oh, that's a bit tight there. What's that snagging on? There we go. That's it, the fork is out. Look at the state of that. Nice. All right. Now we can change the seal. Okay, so we've got the fork out. What I'm going to do, I've got this iron bar which attaches, it's the handle for the bike lift. I'm going to put that through here. And we're going to use this because we need to compress the spring. We're going to take this off and we're going to use the spring compressor tool here. And we're going to put, I've got 2 ratchet straps and I'll clamp them to the top and to the bottom, and we'll compress the spring enough that we can take it out. In the meantime, we need to get the top off. So let me go and get the tool for that, and we'll start removing the top of this. Very simple. We're just going to turn this off, hopefully. It's not so easy, that proper breaker. But it's, as you can see, it's fiddly. Let me adjust it slightly so I can clamp the fork leg in my knees. There we go. Let's turn it off now. And there we have it. Okay, so we can see, I don't know if you guys can see it from there, there's the spring, and what I need to do is compress the spring using this. So first, let's put on some more gloves. So on here we've got these 2 holes. What we're going to do is going to put the spring compressor tool over here and screw it into each of these holes. Let's bring it in. Make sure we're aligned. Now in there is a rod. Now there is a tool you can do. It's basically like a threaded bar with a bar with a thread on the end, but I couldn't get one, so I'm just hoping I don't need it too much. Okay, so that's in. Now what I can do, ratchet strap top and bottom, ratchet them down, and it will compress the spring. So let's get that sorted out. All right, so we've got the ratchet straps on, and what we're going to do is we're just going to ratchet these down, give them tension, sort of equally, a bit at a time on each one, to reveal that bolt. Then what we can do is we slide in this retaining thing it comes with the tension bolt, the tensioner, and that then will hold that. We should then be able to get a spanner in there, nut on the top, and whip the top off. All right, so what I've done is I've just slackened these off a touch, and I'm going to put this in here, and I want the spring to go back up and hold that. That's it. So now we're tight. This is in there, so this is stopping it moving. What I need then is a 14mm spanner to go in there, and then this to turn off the top. Now, this is where you need a bit of strength. So let's bring this whole arrangement back in, clamp it up, and let's see if we can get this undone in one hit. Ready? Probably not. Ah, definitely not. Let's start that again. All right, let's try that again without throwing it across the floor. There we go. Now we got it. So we take the top off. That's that off. That's that. Everything's held in place. Now what we need to do is try not to drop everything. Now we need to release the ratchet straps, but we've got to be careful because if we don't, this we're just going to shoot straight through the ceiling because it's under so much tension. So we're going to put a bit of weight on each one, and we're going to release it slowly. and we'll see how we get on. The top's off. I'm just going to retension this just a touch because I want to remove that tool. There, that's it. That can come out. Now what I can do is very gently release these because I don't want that to shoot through the ceiling. So I'm going to put a bit of pressure on it, but there we go. There we go. And the other one. And we're out. Oh, I think we're caught. Hang on, I need to. Get a bit snagged up. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we can release just gently. Make sure we don't prop it through into the bathroom upstairs. And there we go. Then we're out. That's nice. Okay, we can pop these off and we're free. So we can take that out and there's our spring. So we can remove the spring. And for those of you that are British, you'll know that you need to put this into something. So let me start that bit again. So now we can remove our spring. And for the British among you, you know what's perfect for this? A Cadbury's Roses box, just to put it in and let it drain down. So that's what we've got on the floor here. So we're just going to move that over there. And it can sit there now and drain away. All right, we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we are getting there. I'm just going to remove all of this out of the way. We are going to need it all again to put it back, but I just want it out of the way for now. So that can all come out of the way. We can, this rod here, you can pump this a bit just to free up any loose oil. And then we're basically just going to tip it away. Whatever's left in there. Yeah. There we go. We'll allow that to drain for a while. Considering it's a bad leak, there's still quite a bit of oil in there, to be fair. Right. Put that there. Let me take these off and I'll swing the camera around and you can have a look. So quickly attach the camera. So yeah, quite a bit of oil in there, but that's cool. So we're going to let that just sit for a while now, about 10 minutes or so, just so the last of the oil just drops out. Then we're going to take it outside. We're going to clean the whole thing up with brake cleaner. I'll probably do the same all the way around the other side of the brake as well, the bike as well, just so it's nice and clean. And then we'll come back and we'll split the fork. So let's give it 10-15 minutes and we'll be back. Pretty much empty of oil now, so we're just going to split the fork, which basically is just putting the two packs apart. So we'll take that off. It should just bring out both bits separately. There we go. Job done. Now, obviously the seal is in here, so I'm going to get that out. Take this is just a dust shield, get it out and then get the seal out. In the meantime, this is going to go outside and be saturated in brake fluid, brake cleaner. So let's get that all nice and clean. Let's do that now. We'll be back. All right, so everything's soaking in brake cleaner now to get it clean. I haven't done this part of the fork yet, but I will. So let's just get the weather seal off first. Just be careful you don't scratch the life out of it. All right, it should just come out. Let me get a better screwdriver. There we go, that one's out. And then we can see the seal which is sitting there. And again, we should just be able to pull that straight out of there. Let's just, hopefully. Oh no, they have a clip, don't they? A retaining clip in them. Let me find the end of the clip. All we've got then is a little retaining clip, which we should be able to get out of here pretty quick. There it is. Just a small, like, split wheel thing. I should have put another glove on, but never mind. And then we should be able to pop the seal out pretty easy. So the The metal rim has already come out of it. So let's just go ahead and pop that out. Alright, so the way to get these out really is just to gently ease them up all the way around. I don't have a seal removal tool, but this seems to work. So we're just easing it out gently. I can see it coming up. Right. And there we go. That's the seal out. Nice and easy. Job done. Now let's go and clean this fork leg off, and then we can start rebuilding it on. All right, as you can see, we've given this a good clean up now. Got a lot of that dirty grease and all off of it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the weather shield, I guess, and then we'll start rebuilding the forks. So let's get the other one cleaned up. Here we go. All right, we've got everything cleaned up. We're ready to go again. So we're going to rebuild this now. We've got the old seal. We don't want that anymore. So we're going to take the new one out of the pack. There's this one. So it's very simple how this goes in. So there's a little tiny bit of oil leak in there. Let's just clean that out. There we go. Okay. First things first. Weather shield goes on. The flange side facing down. If I can get it back on. There we go. All the way down. The new seal. You should be able to look and see the spring on the inside. The spring goes down like that. Now these might be a little bit stiff to get on because obviously they're brand new. So you have to play with them slightly to get them on there. Okay. So again, seal down. So we're in place. What we can do then is put these two back together. So that will sit over the top of that, like so. Let's push this all the way down. So this reaches a stop. There we go. Now, this is where the hammer comes in handy, because we have the hammer for it. Ah, no, I've gone wrong. There you go. This is how easy it is to make a mistake. The seating ring, the metal seating ring needs to go on. Now we can put this back together again. There we go. That then goes on. Now we can tip this over. And now comes the fun bit. We have the slide hammer, 46mm. You can lift that up. You'll see that the bit of oil still pouring out. That's all right. I'll just pop that on my leg. The seal isn't seated properly. And of course we still need to keep this clip, which needs to go back in yet. So this probably is easier with two people, but I don't have two people, so it's just me. The slide hammer goes round. 46mm. If you're doing it on different bikes, different sizes. Put it around it, twist it, lift that up, slam it in. It should be seated. Another one, just to make sure. There we go. Remove the slide hammer. We should be able to pop the clip in. This goes in last. Without getting your gloves. You probably just need a little screwdriver for this, just to pop it in. I keep getting caught on my gloves. Underneath, when it's in, we're in. Yep. There's still a little bit of oil still in the bottom, but not a lot. You can slide the dust shield down, the weather shield, and then we're back together. So at this point, we're getting close to a rebuild now. Pull this bar up. And we're at a point that we're almost at a point where we can rebuild the rest of the thing. Let me just climb my hands up a bit and then we'll have a check. All right, so with the fork, two tubes back together, not screwed or fixed, I'm just going to have a quick tidy up here. Get rid of this because this is absolutely sodden in oil. Get rid of that. That doesn't need to be there anymore. They can sit with the rest of the rubbish over here. We'll replace it with a new one. The reason for that is if there is any leaks, I'll be able to tell. So I did a bit of research. There's many different ways you can fill these up. People are saying that you need to fill it to a specific level and then apply add the spring. Other people, a certain amount of oil. So I've done some research. Now, it's a bit tricky here in Europe, in mainland Europe, because the M109 isn't sold here. So the information is very hard to come by. So basically what I'm hearing is to put the spring in and about 500 mil of fluid. So that is what I'm going to do. That's probably my easiest bet. So I'm going to add the spring in now, but I need to be careful I don't lose this. This is the awkward thing now. There is another tool which is like a pole with a thread on it, but I couldn't get one. So, and I don't have anything that I can really use. So this is where the awkward is going to become a bit awkward. So if I put that there, and that spring, which is still slightly oily, comes in. Spring has to go back in the same way it came out, obviously. Now I can't grab that bar, so that's a problem. I need to find a solution for that. So let me have a think and see if I can come up with some idea. All right, guys, so we're at a point of rebuilding a fork, but I've got a problem. I'm a bit stuck. Let me show you. What you need to do is you need to put the spring over the top of this, but the problem is the spring is longer than that. So there is a bar called a rod dampening bar or something like that. I don't have one, so I've just had to buy one, and it won't be here till tomorrow. So at the moment, we are in this position, and there's literally nothing more I can do. So I thought I'd be honest and say, look, you know, it doesn't always go swimmingly. So I'll come back to you tomorrow once this rod is here. And basically all that thing does is it attaches to that small bar and gives you a leverage that you can hold it so you can put the spring in. That's it. It's 30 euros for a fucking bar with a thread on the end, but there you are. So I'm just going to get all this stuff cleared up now, clean up all the grease and the oil off of the bike parts. So that's ready to go back on. And then tomorrow we can get this rebuilt, back on the road for Monday morning. Happy days. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening. All right, guys, it's now tomorrow, basically. Back in the old clobber again, in case any of you are wondering, this t-shirt from a 1970s movie of motorcycles called Rollerball. Go and check it out if you've never seen it. Anyhow, Jeff Bezos' driver's just turned up. We have the pole, which I need, so we can crack on. So we're going to get back to the bike. We're going to rebuild the fork, get it topped up with oil, get it all put back together, and back on the bike, hopefully in the next sort of half an hour. All right, let's get to it. So yesterday we got to this point where we're about to start rebuilding it, but this was what I was missing. This is basically an extension bar that goes on the end of this thread. And the idea is that it basically increases its length. So you can hold this up and put the spring on. Because once the spring is on, you won't be able to get hold of this bar. So basically what we're going to do now, we're going to put the oil in. We will then put the spring in. We then need to compress the spring, which I will need my girlfriend to give me a hand with. Because once we compress the spring, we'll put this back under here. And then from there, I can start rebuilding the fork back together. So let's go ahead and let's get some oil in it. Okay, so I did some research. You're looking at about 640 mil of oil in these forks. So I've got about 630 odd mil in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour that in gently. Bear in mind this is held up now. All right, we're good there. So what I want to do now is just plunge this through a few times. I just want to make sure we work its way in, and that if there's any air trapped in the bottom, we can work it through. Okay, all right. So we're just going to let that sit for like 5 minutes or so. Let any air, if there's any more air in there, just let it naturally come to the top. So we just give it 5 minutes and we'll come back. All right, so that's sat for a little while. So what we're going to do now, we are going to put the spring in. So remember, this spring is narrow at the top than it is at the bottom. So obviously it needs to go back in the same way it came in. And that can just sit straight back over the top of there. This is the beauty of having this rod now, because I can still access this bar. So what I need to do now is put the spacer back in. Let me just wipe off my fingers. I need to put this back on because I need to compress the spring to build to put it all back together. So again, this fits over the top of this bar, and then we're going to rebuild this. Which can come in. Oh, let's not disturb it all too much. So that's there. Now what I can do is I will go and get my beautiful assistant, who doesn't yet know she's going to do it, and we will compress the spring and we'll get the bar secured underneath it so the whole thing doesn't move. Be back in 2 minutes. So a slight change of plan. I decided rather than disturb my girlfriend, I could probably do this the same way I took it out with the ratchet strap. So I'm just going to ratchet this down, press it. It's probably easier this way as well, because you're going to get some serious tension on this, and I don't know if we'll be able to do it. So, but I need to expose the top nut. It's got a lot of tension on it. Where is that nut? Okay, there it is. So what I need now is to get that in there, and then I can ease these off gently. There's so much pressure on them. There we go. I think we're good. We can just make sure that we're not snagging up on them. That's it. And we can ease this fully off. There we go. And we're good. We're good. Okay. Let me get all these ratchet straps out of the way without smashing my other bike. All right. So we're back where we need to be. This can now be removed. And this is not dropped on the floor. And we're ready to put the cap back on the top, which can go in here. All right. So the next stage is we're going to tighten that back up again. So actually I will put the bar back through because it does help as a support. I can stand on that, that can sit there. And we need a 14mm spanner on this nut. And 22mm on the top. And we're just going to tighten these up. This tyre thing is not the best situation, but it works. It's just a bit tricky, that's all. It's just a little bit more on that. And a 14mm here. Okay, I think we can remove this. We can take out. And there we go. So we're done, back up again. Everything's tight. Make sure that's fully up. That's good. And then we can bring the fork leg up and reconnect the fork leg. This now can come off. What we'll do, that's up there. We'll just give it a nip up with this for now. There we go. And we have a fork. Now what we're looking for now is to make sure we don't have oil. And that's a good solid fork. All right, next stage, back on the bike. Let's get the battery built. Okay, so we're back ready to put it back on. What I did yesterday, which you didn't see, was I cleaned up all the brake calipers. I cleaned the bottom of the fork leg. Lots of brake cleaner and degreaser. I cleaned the wheel, cleaned the disc on the wheel because the brake disc was covered in oil. So basically we're ready to go back on again. So it's basically exactly the reverse. So it should be a nice, easy process. Now remember, I put a mark on the fork. What I've got to do is try and find where it was. Okay, so we're going to come back up. I remember this was a bit tricky to get out, so let's see if it just gets in a bit easier. Yeah, there we go. Put that down. Oh. We're up. We're in. Okay. Let me check the situation there. Yeah, it's about right. I think I actually wiped off my mark yesterday. You see there? Yeah. Looking good. All right, so we just tighten up these pinch bolts. Just to hold it in place for now. This was the tricky one behind that cowling. But okay, what I want to do, just to make sure we got our levels right, I'm just going to put the main axle bolt through. We're just going to put it in and make sure it levels up. Yeah, we're good. That's cool. Okay. That's good. So I'm just going to tighten these pinch bolts down, make sure they're good. Now again, I know people are going to say that you should have a torque wrench for this. I don't have one. To be fair, it's as tight as we're going to get it. All right, so the fork is back on. What we'll do is we'll rebuild the mudguard, get the wheel on, get the brakes back on. We should be good to go. So it's looking a lot better. Might give this other fork leg a bit of a clean before I do that though. Okay, so off camera, I was just about with the headlight cowling back up. And as I say, yesterday, I give this a clean. This was all completely gunked up with oil. It's a bit dirty inside, but it's nice and shiny out. So we'll get this back in again. Goes in very easy, but you need to remember the brake caliper brackets go behind the mudguard. So let's get one side in. Let's just whack a bolt in there to hold it in place for now. If I can. Without scratching it all. It's the only thing with wearing gloves, isn't it? You get snagged on everything. Never mind. Okay, that's one in. Let's get the other side, just one in to hold it in place. I realise you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just doing up a bolt. If I can get it in the hole. There it is. There we go. All right, there we are. That's held in place. Okay, the caliper bolt. The caliper. Let's sit down. It's going to sit here. Why is that sitting so proud? Because that's the wrong bolt. That's it there. Okay. All right, and that one in. I think I'll have to come back. There's still a bit of grease on these, obviously, because the amount of oil that was all over the place, as you can tell. I'll come back in and re-clean all of this. So, okay, let's get the other side done. All right, so with the wheel going back on, obviously the first thing you need to check is make sure you get the right way around, just to make you can check the direction marking on the tyre if you forget what side is what. But I didn't, so I know which way it's going. So, fiddly for one person, but doable. So we got the, let me just move this out of the way. Easier to put that straight. Wheel goes in. Now it's easier to do this without the brakes on the bike because of it's just simpler. So it's just a lot simpler. All right. All right, we're in. We're in. So next thing, the internal socket, 24mm. You ratchet on the forward. Don't need that. and drive it home. Alright, it takes a bit of turning on these, but you can tell when you're there because the thread comes out the other end. There we go. Alright, that's that one sealed up. The wheel is on. So then we're coming back again to the pinch bolts. Let me just get out of here. So as previously, we got 2 pinch bolts on the front fork, which just need nipping up now. I just need to find my Allen key, which has disappeared. There we go. So the wheel's back on, spinning freely, which is nice. Pinch bolts are bound back up. Everything's tied up. Just put the brake calipers back on. So let's get them done now. Okay, brake calipers, easy enough to do. Sometimes you need to just open up the pads a little bit. Easy to do with a screwdriver. Just put it in and twist it just to open them up. Slide it on. And on these, they just sit on really easy. I've got to admit, with the Suzuki, changing brake pads takes minutes. It's a really good system. Probably need to change mine again soon this year. Now always remember, when you take the brake calipers off and you put them back on again, to check you've got brakes, because quite often you initially won't. There we go. Let me just do the same on the other side. Because you need to get, obviously, any air or whatever out of the system, get the fluid flowing again. So just before you just go belting it off, just check pump your brakes a few times. Okay, we're back together. The brake calipers are back on again. The only thing now is to let it off the lift. So we're just going to remove the bricks that I used to chock the back wheel. And then the dubious thing about this is I had to put the side stand up, which means it's going to come down without a stand. So we're going to try and gently lower it. And that's not the lowering one, that's the pumping up. This is the lowering one. I'm going to try and do it without having any issues. Almost down. There we go. Okay, then we can pull that out. And we can put the stand down. We are good. Job done. So like I said before, let me just move this out the way. You probably won't have any pressure in your brakes, so just pump them up a few times. You can feel the power come back. We're good. We're good to go. So now I'm just going to check. I'm going to wipe off around the bottom of the fork leg. Make sure we're not seeing any oil. No. All good. There we go, guys. That's it. Fork seal's changed. All I need to do now is give it a damn good wash and degrease. Anyway, guys, I hope you find this informative. I hope this helps someone. If it does, please hit like, maybe give me a subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, everyone.